Hello, my name is Catherine Drotis-Cuthbert, and I'm the Assistant Director for Alcohol and Other Drug Education and Support Services with the Center for Student Wellbeing on Vanderbilt's campus. I'm really excited to be here with a couple of students that are going to tell us a little bit about themselves and their roles on campus and the way that they help to connect students to campus resources as well.
Hi everybody, my name is Ross Rubin. I'm a junior originally from Dallas, Texas. I'm very excited to be here today. I'm a part of a couple different organizations on campus, but today I'm going to be representing the LEAPS organization, which is Liaisons for Educating and Advising Psychological Support on campus.
Amazing. My name is Kate Spears. I'm also a junior at Vanderbilt, and my kind of role in this is I'm a peer guide at the Center for Student Wellbeing. So we provide that one-on-one peer coaching in the areas of, life transitions, emotional well-being, self-efficacy, stress management, time management, all of that good stuff. So excited to talk to y'all today.
All right, and part of my role is I also oversee Vanderbilt Recovery Support, which is our collegiate recovery program for students that are in recovery from substance use disorder or also just in the contemplative stage of their own patterns of use. I've been at Vanderbilt for a little over 9 years, and I also graduated with my master's degree from Vanderbilt as well. And one of the things that I think is most important about what we do, not only at the Center for Student Wellbeing, but I think on campus as a whole, is we really provide students with a lot of resources. And then we also have peer support as well, which is really crucial for students to make that connection. A lot of times it's easier to reach out to a fellow student, or even at the initial stage to ask questions about kind of what is available on campus. So right now I'm going to tell you about the Center for Student Wellbeing, but also our 4 primary offices that consist of the Student Care Network. So we have the Office of Student Care Coordination, and students can directly connect to this office. They can go online, make an appointment, and also complete an intake form. And the great thing about the Office of Student Care Coordination is that office can be used to connect to the University Counseling Center, and that's a means in order to be able to make appointments for the University Counseling Center. We also have, the Center for Student Wellbeing. You can go to the Office of Student Care Coordination first to really just kind of find out about the resources that are available and what would be the best resource for you. So they're a really great first step. They're also really helpful with finding out off-campus resources as well, is learning a little bit more about insurance and just some other practical pieces of information. The University Counseling Center is really helpful. They provide students with crisis and trauma-informed care. They have group therapy, as well as really individual or identity-based groups as well. So this can be really helpful for students. They provide short-term individual counseling, as well as really urgent care. So if a student is experiencing an urgent need, they do have hours during the day. They also provide emergency phone number after hours, so it's a really helpful resource for students as well. The Center for Student Wellbeing, which kind of we're all representing here today, is an office that students can call. They can email directly to schedule an appointment with either a peer guide or with one of the staff members for a coaching appointment. So we provide individual coaching. We provide well-being coaching, which can really cover things from such as roommate conflict, relationships, time management, mindfulness practices, to academic coaching. So really trying to understand what are the best strategies. If you have 2 tests in one day, how can you best plan for that? We have financial well-being as well, so really helping students think about and plan for their own financial future, but also kind of really thinking about what it is that you can do right now in the present moment to help with your current finances. And then we also have alcohol and other drug harm reduction coaching, which is really talking about what are some ways that you can set goals for yourself, have accountability to really help minimize the amount of use, and then also providing care for students that may be actively in the dependency or addiction phase and helping them get connected to outside more clinical services when that's needed. We also provide coaching for students that are in recovery from addiction or substance use disorder and really helping prevent return to use. And oftentimes for students that may be the first time they've been sober on campus. So thinking about how do we help support students in an environment that sometimes can be a little bit challenging. So those are a lot of the things that the Center for Student Wellbeing does. We also provide workshops on a variety of different topics. We have things like host responsibility training. So if an event has alcohol on campus, we provide training for that. We provide MAPS, which is mental health and awareness and prevention of suicide. So this is a really helpful workshop that we provide year-round for students, staff, and faculty. Facing and embracing challenge, academic skills in a variety of different ways for students to be able to prepare for themselves academically. This can be, preparing for finals, but it can also be kind of how to student. How do I do this? How do I make my way through Vanderbilt academically? So we offer a wide variety of programming, and also large-scale campus-wide preventative programming as well. All first-year and transfer students attend Common VU, which some of our students participated in. And really that's an educational program to create a community of care around alcohol awareness and social responsibility. So students have a high level of kind of introduction to what it is that we offer on campus. And so part of that is kind of knowing the 4 Student Care Network offices. So I've mentioned 3 of them so far. We also have the Student Health Center. They provide both chronic and acute care for students. They really are advocates for students. They provide specialists, so it could be sports medicine, nutrition, a variety of different ways to be able to interact with students and help support them while they're on campus. In addition to the 4 primary offices, there are many offices that are also considered part of the Student Care Network, which includes the Black Cultural Center, LGBTQI Life, Project Safe, and many others. So right now, I'm gonna pass it on to Ross and to Kate, and I'd love for you just to share a little bit about some of the experiences that you've had of either helping students get connected to resources or even your own stories.
Yes, thank you so much. So I think she touched on almost every single thing possible, but she's completely right in the sense that there are so many helpful resources for Vanderbilt students, for first years, and also for upperclassmen as you make your way through the undergrad process here at Vanderbilt. And I think those resources are always there for everyone, for every single university, but at Vanderbilt, they're very interactive with the student population, which is something that's I'm very grateful for personally, and I know our first years are as well. In terms of things I've helped with, like she was just touching on, I actually did help with the alcohol awareness and education programming earlier this year for the first year students, and that was an incredible experience for me to be able to be on the other side of it, as I just received that kind of training only 2 years prior. So being on the other end of that was really rewarding for me. And it's also very realistic here at Vanderbilt. We understand what's going on around us, and we want to be able to offer those best resources for the first year students and for transfer students and everyone that's kind of experiencing being back on campus for the first time given the circumstances of this past year and everything. But I do really want to emphasize the resources and the identity centers that were previously touched on, because those are a great big part of the Vanderbilt experience here. And if you're not going to use those resources, like personally, I will say that the student culture here is one of uplifting and one that is very cooperative and very there for each other. I think we do have that kind of like Southern hospitality that we talk about, where students here really want to help each other out, and they say hi to each other and they smile at each other, but it's more than that. It really is being there for one another, and I experienced that through my 3 years here at Vanderbilt, and I know the first years are currently experiencing that. I do want to emphasize that it is a great culture of cooperation and honestly a little bit of unity, which I think is a great experience here.
Yeah. So I know when I first heard about the resources at Vanderbilt, I was like, whoa, that's a lot. I don't know how I'm going to remember all of these acronyms, all of these offices. How do I know where to go for what? And I think that's the beauty of having kind of a centralized student care network where you can go to the Office of Student Care Coordination and they will literally meet you where you are and point you to the right direction. So I think that's something that students should take advantage of, just not having to figure it out on their own, but having an office there to guide you. And I also think something that's really important to mention when talking about resources is the experience of actually reaching out for help. I think a lot of us had really strong high school experiences. You made it to Vanderbilt, so obviously you were doing something right along the way. But it can be humbling to get to school and be like, oh, it's hard to make friends now that I'm separated from my high school friends. Or, oh, classes are hard here and I could use some help, and that's a new thing for me. So I think it is a really humbling and grounding experience to be able to reach out for help and really utilize the resources here.
Yeah.
I think also to reemphasize that point, like Kate was just saying, a lot of us, like in our high school experiences, had great high school experiences where we were able to really utilize all the resources in high school and really hone in our education. And then we get to a school like Vanderbilt and we expect to do the same thing. And while there's definitely the opportunity to do the same thing here, we might be caught off guard and we might be surprised by maybe your first ever general chemistry midterm or maybe your first ever essay. I know personally I had that experience in one of my classes where I was so excited, I was ready to show the world what I've got, and I didn't do so well. I didn't do so hot on my first ever essay. And I was worried because as a high schooler, I definitely was a little bit of a perfectionist, if I do have to admit. And I was worried that maybe Vanderbilt isn't the right fit for me, or maybe just because I didn't do so well on my first essay that I would have to try to figure out my way around the school and struggle through my 4 years here. However, I will say that Vanderbilt is a place that allows you to make mistakes, especially within your first year, and you get to learn what you're interested in. You get to take a bunch of different classes, but you also get to learn about who you are as a person. And with the helpful resources that we have here, I was able to kind of understand more about that it's not necessarily everything needs to be perfect, and it's very much okay to make mistakes, especially at a high-end university like this one. While it might feel like a very stressful time at some points, it doesn't necessarily have to be that because of the resources. And because we do have that culture where it's okay to make mistakes and it's okay to do poorly on your first essay, you'll rebound. I promise you, it gets better.
And that's a really great point. This is the title of this panel today is called Supporting Your Big Fish in Our Big Pond. And the whole idea is that the students that come to Vanderbilt, that are attracted to Vanderbilt, that are interested in being a part of our community, are students who have excelled in high school. And so sometimes it can be really challenging coming to the university, and maybe you're not the top of the class, and it does take time to make friends. That's one of the things that in coaching we talk about a lot, is that you can meet acquaintances and kind of have people that from your floor and somebody you've had activities with and things like that. But the reality is it takes time to really cultivate true friendships and to find your tribe. And so just knowing that and taking your time with it can be really, really helpful. But letting yourself kind of experience that, we put quote unquote like failure, because a lot of times it's not really a failure. It's just not doing as well as you're used to doing, especially with chemistry and calc and essays and all of these things. And it's something that's not just for first year students. It's something that can happen in several aspects throughout, undergraduate students' time here, because, even internships, sometimes comparing can be one of the most challenging things, because you may say, oh, all of my friends have these really fancy internships. Number one, that's probably not true, but I'm sure some of them do. That probably is true, but also just knowing what is it that you want. Maybe you're not really looking for that type of internship, and that's okay. And being able to find your own niche and find out what it is that you're most interested in and ways to support it. And I love that Kate said also, just go to an office. Like if you're not sure what resource to go to, just go to one and they will lead you in the right direction. That's the really great thing about it, is that if it's not the right resource, they will connect you to the correct resource for you. And I would like to talk a little bit more about kind of that idea of perfectionism, because it's something that we see quite frequently in our students, and kind of that struggle with what that looks like. We do have the Imperfection Project, which really encourages students to speak out and to share their stories of imperfection, and kind of this idea of sharing your stories of failure and what that looks like, and being vulnerable and supporting each other within that. And I always say quote unquote failure, because we've done this panel for several years, and a lot of times we'll talk about failure, but it's really somebody getting a B. Is that really a failure? But it feels like it to the student. So we honor and we respect that, and then we help them kind of figure out, okay, what's the next step? So I would love to hear just a little bit more from the two of you about, either kind of your own personal experience or what you've seen from, kind of friends while you've been on campus.
Yeah, I think to build off of that, the idea of perfectionism, I think that goes hand in hand with the feeling of imposter syndrome, which I think might be present in some people's Vanderbilt experiences. I know it was for me personally, where I applied and I didn't think I was going to get in, and then I get in and I think, oh, well, everyone around me is the most intelligent person, most impressive person I ever met. And that can be true. Vanderbilt does have those kind of personalities. And even today, where my friends are getting into these incredible internships, and I'm very proud of them, I am. However, it might feel like that way, and that is totally valid, especially as a first year and a new student here back on campus. But I do want to reemphasize that every single person that is here, and was accepted into the school for a reason, and everyone here has that special part of them, and I do think that's important to remind ourselves of, and whether that's going to one of the resources and going into an office and saying, hey, I just want to be reminded that I'm here for a reason, or talking to your friends in those classes. I would say talking with some of my friends in my classes and also with organizations I'm involved in definitely reminds me that it's okay to make those mistakes, and it's okay to learn about who I am as a person within my 4 years of going to undergrad and going to college. And I definitely think that's an important thing to remind ourselves of. And you'll see where your friends might be posting on social media of this incredible internship they're getting, or look at me, I'm happy and I'm doing everything perfectly. No one's going to post about their shortcomings. No one's going to post their average daily life. We only like to share the things that we're extremely, extremely proud of. So while it might seem that every single person around you is getting these incredible internships, which I'm sure they are, they're great, and they might be getting the best grades, they might be having the most fun time of their life, that doesn't necessarily mean that's what they're doing all the time. And I want to remind myself that, and I want to remind everybody here of that as well.
Yeah, I think we've said a lot of great things so far, but some things that I want to touch on. Vanderbilt is full of the cream of the crop. Like, we are the best of our high schools. And so coming here, you're surrounded by incredibly intelligent, passionate, and driven people. And that's an incredible experience to have that community. But you know, when test day comes along, there's an average, and there are people below average, and there are people above average. So that's just how the numbers shake out. So I think it's important to remember that we're all coming from different backgrounds. You might be coming from a rural public school, and the person sitting next to you in class might have come from an elite college prep school. So it's important to remember that there are a variety of factors that influence your experience here, and resources will help you if you need them to get to where you need to be to kind of catch up from all of those differences coming in. So just to say, all of that's just to say that below average here is still above average. So I think, yeah.
I just had a great conversation with a student talking about this exact topic. It's, you know, there is, you know, kind of this, we talk about a bell curve, but it's a different bell curve, right? Because your bell curve is with the best of the best. So even if you're below average from the best of the best. So it's still a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's those are really great points to touch upon. And I really appreciate you both sharing your own personal experiences, but also what you've noticed in classes. I think some of the other things that we've talked about in previous years, but I think is really important this year, is because of the pandemic and because of a lot of remote learning last year, even when students were on campus, they may or may not have been in person for classes. So I think the transition's a little different, because even first year students, they may have been remote for their high school year. And how does that transition impact kind of friends or students that you've worked with in any type of capacity? What have you noticed, and what do you think can be really helpful for them to know?
Yeah, I think the transition from high school or whatever educational experience you had before coming to the university and then entering the university, that can be tricky for anyone, regardless of the circumstances. And then you add the whole other layer of having a pandemic that is still currently happening, unfortunately. And I will say that it definitely does change things up, and that is fair to say, and that is a very valid point to make. However, I think it does not change the culture of Vanderbilt in the sense that we're all there for each other. I do want to say that Vanderbilt is a busybody campus where every single person loves to get involved, and the students here are incredible people where they want to be involved in X, Y, and Z and go out into Nashville and intern here and intern there, and they like to dip their toes in every kind of pond. However, I think that can sometimes stress some students out, including myself, where I think, oh, I need to be constantly doing something, especially with me missing out on a year of university in person. Now that I'm back, I think, oh, I need to make up for lost time. I need to make sure I'm doing maybe not X, Y, Z, but maybe also X, Y, Z, A, B, and C also as well. So I might need to feel like I need to do more and more. However, it is important, especially this year, given the circumstances, to take that time for ourselves and really reflect on what are we doing and what are we interested in doing, versus running around kind of like a chicken with our head cut off, trying to do so much. And of course, that's an incredible time to do, and we totally understand that a lot of Vanderbilt students love to do that. but it's also important taking that time for ourselves, reflecting and taking care of our mental health, so that we are able to continue doing the things that we want to do to the best of our abilities while still taking care of ourselves as well.
Yeah. In terms of like making friends in this environment, I feel like that is so tricky, and I have so much respect for anyone who's navigating that currently. The thing that I want to push is that if you feel like you're not making friends at Vanderbilt, you're probably not alone. There are probably people that are feeling similarly. I know even when we were first years, I had a conversation with one of the girls on my floor, and she was saying, I just feel like I haven't met my people yet, but I feel like that's because my people are the kind that stay in, and I don't know how to meet them if we're all staying in. So I think I'd encourage students who are feeling maybe a little uncertain of where they are socially to almost push yourself a little bit, introduce yourself to people, try to find your people, because I'm sure there's someone who is hoping that you will reach out to them.
I also want to really quickly reemphasize that, again, you're going to be hearing these stories of the people that are going out to the fullest and being the most extroverted versions of themselves, and that's great too. But I also want to emphasize that you don't have to find your people freshman year, your first year on campus. That's perfectly okay if you don't have the most solid friend group at this point. That is more than okay. In fact, I will say I personally found 2 of my close friends around this time at Vanderbilt my first year, and today, literally 2 nights ago, I made a new friend, and we had dinner together, and it was an incredible experience. And I want to say that you'll continue making friends throughout your 4 years at Vanderbilt, or however many years you are here at Vanderbilt in Nashville. And it doesn't necessarily mean that, oh, just because I haven't made my closest friends first semester, first year, that it's over for me socially or anything along those lines. It really is a evolving place, constantly changing, where friend groups are not totally solid and set in stone since day 3. It's really a thing where you get to meet a bunch of new people from various varieties of places in the world, and cultures and backgrounds and everything. And those people can still become your best friends second, third year, even your senior year and your final year on campus.
And I think it's really important to talk about mental health and devoting yourself to practices that support stress management. So the Center for Student Wellbeing, we do have what we call weekly wellbeing practices, and these are on our website as well, but we offer meditation a couple times during the week. We also have the Headspace app, which is free for all students. We have Vanderbilt recovery support meetings that are several times a week. We also have drop-in coaching hours, so if a student hasn't made an appointment but they feel like they really would like to talk to someone about kind of either academic coaching topics or well-being topics, they can drop in. Again, we have these throughout the week. So it's really important that you can get connected through a lot of different ways, and sometimes these are also ways to connect with other people. We know that during the pandemic, there's been an increase in the amount of overdose deaths, and this is something that we do need to talk about. Within a 12-month time period, there was over 83,000 deaths by overdose, and we know that many of that was caused by the isolation, the lack of connection, and as we're coming out of the pandemic, there's still some of the mental health things that are going on with that, as well as the substance use disorder that are going on with that. So we want to make sure that students understand that we have services for support in all of those areas. And I think it's really important to know with Vanderbilt Recovery Support for undergraduate students, we have recovery housing for students that are already actively in recovery from substance use disorder. We have membership for individuals who have a minimum of 90 days sobriety, so they can have access to our Vanderbilt Recovery Support Lounge where we have our meetings. They have access to that space from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m., so it's a really nice, safe, sober space. We offer a lot of social and service events. We just had a sober tailgate and a sober section of the last football game. So we try to do a lot of different things to make sure that, again, everyone feels a sense of belonging. And I think that it also takes some courage to kind of be able to reach out. One thing that I'll work with students is like, just talk to one person you don't know this week. That might be a goal that they set for themselves. And how do you, really open up and be vulnerable just to talk to somebody you don't know? But that can be the difference between feeling those connections or that sense of connection and feeling isolated. So I think that those are important topics. One thing I also wanted to mention is that we are so grateful for all the family members that are watching today. It's really important because it shows that you care and you're taking an interest in your students' lives. And so I think that one of the things that with parents that I've talked to, it's always this fine line of really being able to support students and not crossing that line of trying to take care of everything for them. And so I know that a lot of students were able to come to Vanderbilt because they had that really strong support system, and that's wonderful. And then now it's time to kind of help and let go. So really encouraging, if there's things that are going on campus, encouraging your student to seek help for themselves. I think that's really crucial. If there is, kind of a crisis going on, then I really do encourage parents and family members to reach out, because that's a different level. But I think for, even things like if, there's something going on with dining or something like that, have the student take responsibility for that. Have the student really take ownership of that, because that also helps them mature and grow as well. Do you all have anything to add for that?
I personally don't.
No, I just think it's great to be able to learn how to advocate for yourself. So those are definitely great skills to develop in college.
Yeah,
Sure.
Absolutely. Well, we're really excited to be here today. I'm so grateful for Kate and Ross, and thank you for your time and knowledge and sharing with us all of your experiences. So again, I'm Catherine Drodas-Cuthbert with the Center for Student Wellbeing. You can reach out to me directly if you have any questions. You can find information on the Center for Student Wellbeing website or the Vanderbilt Recovery Support website.
You can also definitely reach out to these organizations that we are a part of currently, or any of these resources, of course, and we're also happy to answer any questions as well. If you have any of those, if you want to reach out via those resources, or also through email or anything like that, we're very happy to answer any questions as well.
I'll echo those sentiments and look forward to seeing your students around campus.
Yes.